It's been a very interesting couple of weeks since I started regularly uploading videos. And to be honest, this is kind of a learning experience because I really do want to have a discussion about this. And of course, for those of you who want to actually talk to me, you've joined my streams, which I do appreciate. Well, the couple of you who have discovered this entire channel. And as a reminder, you can catch me on Saturday where I do regular streams because I at least want to talk to you guys once a week. But on that note, I found something kind of common where a lot of people have been telling me that I should probably not complain or not really talk about this because of a couple of things. Like, there were some people who were telling me that the game is just not for me anymore because I've been playing this game for over 10 years, and they're saying that the game is now adjusted to the crowd that is not really for me, which I am not that crowd anymore, apparently. We're talking about casual players, and I'm pretty sure I'm a casual player, but okay. There are people who have made their comment in terms of healers, where some love how healers are, and there are a lot of people who I've been saying the opposite. And it's interesting to see that there are actually people who just want to press one or two buttons as an action while healing, while others are just absolutely bored with the role. And it's funny because a lot of people think that I am complaining about healers when I'm actually trying to complain for healers. I know very well as a tank main that you should respect your healer. I mean, they have your balls in a vice grip. Just know that I'm actually trying to defend the healers. I want them to do so much better in dungeons and actually have fun while playing the game. And then there were a lot of people who came into the comments because of one singular thing that I want to talk about in this video: the matter of difficulty. Yes, we've talked about this before, but there's a lot of you who have just discovered me or just starting to rewatch me and have never seen me talk about difficulty in this game. And as you can probably tell, I'm okay with them upping the difficulty because, I've fell asleep in some of these dungeons before. But that is to say, the reason why I'm okay with the difficulty going up is because I was not really engaged in the dungeons that were in Shadowbringers and Endwalker. I do fully admit that I have a rating background. I have done ultimates, I have done extremes, I have done savages, but I am not trying to say that the game should gear towards people who do savages, ultimates, or extremes. This is again a talking point where a lot of people have been trying to say that I want the game to be harder, and that's just not the case. I 100% want the game to be for at least most people out there, whether you're a new person, a casual, or a veteran of the game. Difficulty is just one aspect of a video game, and difficulty will come as you play the game at whatever circumstance. In almost every scenario, when you start out with a new video game, you have no idea what you're doing, but after maybe like 5 hours, 10 hours, 20 hours, 100 hours, you could be very adept at the game that you're playing. And what people seem to not understand is that video games are kind of made in a way where they teach you how to play itself rather than, somebody trying to tell you how to play the game. And that's what I've been trying to tell people throughout these past 2 videos. At least it should be able to teach you how to play the game. I mean, that's how a video game is supposed to be. You don't have to go outside the very video game itself to teach you how to play. The video game itself should teach you how to play. And where difficulty comes in, I hear this argument all the time. They think that when I talk about the game teaching you how to play, how the game should engage you as you're leveling up and the story engages you and the dungeon engages you, that the challenge ramps up. A lot of people has this mindset, and I think this is the game's fault, that they have this mindset that the game should be easy to go through because it's a story-based game. However, I don't think story-based games need to be easy to go through to bear witness the story. I just don't understand why that has to be. I see over and over and over again that people think that I want the game to be more difficult while going through the story, where I'm saying, no, I just want the game to be more engaged. I want people to come out of Endwalker looking forward to the next challenge that they have to face, not just wanting to see what happens with the Warrior of Light in the next chapter. They should probably want in tandem the challenge of the game and the story as well. Like when I talk about one of my favorite games that has great engagement as you play through the game and has a fantastic story, I like to talk about Uncharted. The game has a great tutorialized early gameplay, right? It's not hard in the early bits of the game, but as you go through the story, it ramps up in terms of difficulty because it's engaging the player. It's putting another challenge in front of them. Meanwhile, you are experiencing a fantastic story with Nathan Drake. And I can go on and on how his story is just so good thanks to the writer, Amy Heading. And as she tells you this tale with Nathan Drake and the people that are involved, the gameplay is engaging the player. They're not saying, oh, just coast through the game and when you get to the end, just well, have fun with the story. No, it is engaging the player. The difficulty, yes, indeed, is ramping up, but it's doing that because it's engaging the player. And at the same time, you have a very fulfilling story. By the time I was done with the first game, I wanted to go into the second game. And then the second game, they do a great job at just introducing people to Nathan Drake once again. For those of you who are familiar with Nathan Drake of the first game, they introduce you to him again through gameplay. And due to the fact that they have upgraded the gameplay in Uncharted 2, they start introducing player the new mechanics. Basically starting from zero again for everyone, but they are not making a game that isn't engaging while also telling a fantastic story. Anyway, when it comes to difficulty in any video game, it should be an inherent thing when it comes to just development in itself. You're not just some person, you're the warrior of light who is taking on the next challenge, and it ramps up in each expansion. At the very least, you should feel like you're engaged with that story, not just coasting off of it and turning your brain off just so that you can watch things. Like, it doesn't make sense that you are bear witnessing a story in a video game and you just want to watch it instead of actually being involved. And yes, I know you are involved because you are doing the stories, you are the warrior of light, but you should also feel what the warrior of light is feeling when you are taking on that next challenge. You learn new abilities via experience of the story. Thus, that new experience should allow you to take on that next challenge. And I'm gonna flash a chart here where I made on stream. This chart, and I know it looks like an Asmongold chart, but as you play through the game, it should throw some more challenges so that you are more engaged with the game. I don't know how we've come to this point where so many people don't want to really play video games as they are video games in this day and age. I see it all the time when it comes to live service games, not just MMOs, but actual live service mobile or gacha games. The rewards you get in these live service games, the rewards you get in these gacha games, help you basically take on the game on a much easier fashion until at the point you're just pressing the auto run button and the game runs for you. Where you have to think about the strategy that you used before in order to play that live service or gacha game after you got your reward either through paying money or playing hundreds and hundreds of hours. Well, now you're at a point where you don't even have to think about it anymore. When it comes to MMOs, well, I don't think it should be like that where you're auto running through a game. Obviously, it's not going to be like that, but at the very least, you play, you gain experience while playing the game, you're really taking on challenges as the difficulty does ramp up inherently, and by the time you're at the end of this, you're adept at playing the game. The only thing that I can see difficulty being a problem is kind of this situation we have right now with Dawn Trail, where after you have Yoshi P falling asleep doing a dungeon, he wanted to ramp up the difficulty of the dungeon so it was more engaging, and now you have a bunch of people rage quitting the game because it feels like they're playing an extreme every time they face a boss in these new dungeons, which is not the case. I've played every single extreme in this game, and no, it's not that difficult, but these dungeon bosses do feel as though they're more engaging due to the fact that Yoshi P was experiencing, well, falling asleep at his desk. And because of that response, a lot of people who've been coasting through the game as they've been changing it throughout the years, well, now you have people who just can't seem to get past certain parts of the game. And again, if I have to say it a third time, it's because the game is not teaching players how to play the game. It's not giving them the experience and know-how to reach that point and be comfortable at that point. Listen, I know at the end of the day, there are a lot of people who just want to come back home, chill out, sit in a chair and just play their video game and relax. I get that. I also understand that there are a lot of people who do other things in Final Fantasy other than doing dungeons, like playing the story or playing with friends and doing RP and all those other activities. I get that. No matter how much I look at it, there is no reason for dungeons to be boring. There's no reason for that. It can be just as engaging and easy to go through, but interesting all the same. Like I said before, if you've played any video game long enough, you will become adept at it. I mean, most games do this. No matter where the difficulty is, there's always a curve, and as you keep playing the game, you get better at that difficulty. You're able to take on those challenges, and you probably wouldn't be none the wiser. You'd probably notice that the difficulty is going up, but we're playing an RPG. We're playing an MMO RPG, and as tradition goes for RPGs, it gets harder along the way. The difficulty ramps up. If I were to give an example other than Final Fantasy XIV, Metaphor Re Fantasio. Metaphor, as tradition goes with RPGs, starts you out with nothing. You learn the world and you learn how to play the game. As you and the characters get stronger within the game, it starts throwing challenges at you until finally you beat the final boss, and if you really want to, the secret boss. How many of you guys have played Kingdom Hearts? That game starts out very slow, especially 2. And by the end of the game, if you're playing the final mix version, you're fighting all of the Organization 13 and they're all a challenge. I mean, heck, other than Dark Souls, how many of y'all have been playing Black Myth Wukong? That is a Souls-like game. Though very linear, it is still a Souls-like game in my opinion. And not to mention, the indie game of the year, Balatro, also has a difficulty curve as you keep playing that game. And yes, I know I'm giving examples of games that are actually good, but here's my point. Difficulty and raising the difficulty should not be the problem. The reason why it's a problem in Final Fantasy XIV is because the early games, from A Realm Reborn to Heavensward, Stormblood, Shadowbringers, Endwalker, it was not challenging. It wasn't challenging the player. And because so many people got used to how Final Fantasy was, especially if you're newer to the game, you would expect that Dawntrail would also be a very easy romp to go through. A lot of players expected it to be an easy romp to go through. That is not the player's fault. That is purely the video game's fault. There is no need to be afraid of difficulty ramping up. In fact, it's kind of an inherent design for games like what we're playing. Like, if I were to give another example, it's like if you're playing Dark Souls for the first time in your life. This is your first Souls game. You've heard how difficult it can be, you know it's going to be a hard game to go through, and everything is going fine. You're fighting the Asylum Demon, it's a little hard, you escape the first time and you come back with gear and you beat it. But imagine that bird that grabs you when you escape that asylum, and instead of taking you to that bone graveyard with the first bonfire, it just takes you to Ornstein and Schmaug, and that's your second boss. And I know that is incredibly over exaggerated here, but like, that's what I feel like the imagery is here with people who are coming into Dawntrail after they've gone through the whole entirety of A Realm Reborn all the way up to Endwalker. I imagine it's something like that for them. And I really want to put out an olive branch here. It's not your fault that you're not ready for Dawntrail, because the game didn't set you up for that. It did not set you up for success. The difficulty ramping up all the way up to Endwalker did not test you. You can go on and put this on a record, but I never want to see any casual people leaving the game because the game is too hard. I never want to see that. I also don't want to see people being bored and leave the game just as well. I know there is a place for all of us in Final Fantasy XIV. People insist that there are two different sides here. That one, the casual base, just want an easy game to go through, and the other, the hardcore base, just wants to play another route of Savage. Everything should be extreme and Savage level or something like that. But we all want to play the game together. We all want to play the game for the funsies and what we can make of this game, you know? Whether you're doing something social like RP, or maybe you're just crafting all day and want to make a lot of money, or perhaps you're a PvE type and you want to do the dungeons all the time and hang out with your friends, or perhaps you are hardcore doing the harder content. We shouldn't be afraid of difficulty in video games, because difficulty done in the right way in a well-designed video game will only help the player. Games like RPGs or MMORPGs, when developed the right way, when designed the right way, you would not even notice the difficulty going up. But it is still the opinion of the player on what they like. Do they want something easy or do they want something hard? I mean, it's up to you, and I will have respect for your decision because you're allowed to have it. But it's still the game's fault for cruising losing all these new players through, having it in their minds that, you know, this is how difficult dungeons should be. And you know what? People do tell me that I should just avoid all low-level dungeons if I really don't have fun within it, but then I'm not playing a good portion of the video game. I honestly think that they should kind of redo a lot of the structure when it comes to roulettes, really. Like, there's no real reason to go back and do those past dungeons unless it's connected to a duty roulette. And yes, I do know that some of those past dungeons do have minions, but how many of them have those minions? I mean, I'm still going to be bored with the few amount of buttons that I get to have if I sync to a level 15 dungeon, which is Sastasha, or I sync to a level 30 dungeon like HELLCATS Manor. I'll absolutely be bored, which is the reason why I thought, hey, maybe if you took your kit from level 100 and take it down and sync down to like that level 30 HELLCATS Manor, you have your full kit as a job, it would be less boring. However, some of you rebutted this by saying that's too spoilery, and well, I can't really go against that. Like, if you were a new player and you saw a paladin just breaking out giant floating light swords from the sky and it's just striking all the enemies on the ground, would you not be spoiled by that? Or would you be excited? This is a question, honestly. And that's really a question for everybody here. If I went back with my full kit and I was significantly less damaging, but you know, it would be a lot more fun because I have my full kit and I won't be bored, would that be too spoilery? Would that be a bad negative thing? Because to be honest, if it was me, I would be more excited to level up my character. I mean, that's just me, that's my opinion. And there's just the fact that healers are absolutely bored with the difficulty of lower level dungeons. Like, they just do not have fun. I get more and more comments of healers coming in, they're main healers, and they just complain about the fact that they are extremely bored at lower level dungeons. And you have to think about it, if you have some healers also complaining about the fact that they're not really healing as much at end game, and they're not healing much at all at early game, like, what the heck are we doing with the role of healer? Is it fun to play? And if it's not fun to play, well, I mean, can't really blame them for leaving that role. And I get some newbie healers sometimes who say that this is the best healer role I've ever played in any MMO, and I'm like, well, that's your opinion, I guess. But what do you guys think? What do you guys think about difficulty, and how do you feel about that? Would you rather have dungeons be at the same difficulty as they are right now, being very easy to go through until you reach Dawn Trail? Or would you have it scale up as you play the game, as you gain experience, and as you go through the story, and when you do reach Dawn Trail, you'll be prepared? Difficulty isn't the scary thing here, it's how you implement difficulty in a video game. But that is just my opinion, and I want to hear yours. So that's it. If you guys would like the video if you liked, or dislike if you disliked, and please just give it a thought. If you like what you see on this channel, please subscribe. It's really easy and you can change your mind later. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.